Hi, I'm Melissa Clark from the dining section. Do you know what you're making for Christmas dinner? Because I know what I'm making for Christmas dinner. Crown roast of pork. You need an excuse to make a crown roast of pork because it's expensive, but it's impressive. So what's a better excuse than Christmas? A crown roast of pork is basically a pork loin with the ribs, and your butcher uses string to tie it together to make it look like a crown. You're gonna need about 1 rib per person, or maybe 1.5 ribs per person. It depends on what else you're serving. The thing about a crown roast is that it has so much flavor on its own, it doesn't need more than salt and pepper. However, I am gonna gild the lily, and I'm gonna make an herb paste with sage, fennel seed, lemon zest, and garlic. To get the most flavor out of the fennel seeds, I'm gonna toast them for about a minute. Once you can smell the fennel seeds, they're ready. You just wanna bring out their essential oils, and when you can smell them, you know that you've done that. I'm just gonna throw all the herbs into the blender to make the herb paste, but you could also use a mortar and pestle. So I'm gonna add 5 chopped up garlic cloves, some sage leaves, the zest of a lemon, those fennel seeds that we just toasted, rosemary, olive oil, salt, and my secret ingredient, fennel pollen. Fennel pollen adds an intense fennel flavor, and it's the kind of thing where if you happen to have some in your spice cabinet and you think, what can I use fennel pollen for? This is what you can use it for. If you don't have it, just leave it out. For the exact recipe, go to nytimes.com/dining. Scrape it down, make sure it's even. When it's done, it should look like pesto. I've got a 9-pound crown roast here, so I'm going to use a tablespoon of coarse kosher salt and a lot of black pepper to season it. Then I'm going to rub it down with the herb paste. Don't forget to season in the middle. Smear it with paste, and there's no other way to do it than your hands. It's just messy. It's just the way it is. You really want to work the paste into these little cuts that the butcher made so that you're flavoring all parts of the meat. And don't forget about the bottom. If you have time, you really want to marinate this thing overnight in the fridge. If you don't have time, 2 hours at room temperature will do. There are 2 schools of thought for cooking a crown roast. You could roast it with the ribs down or the ribs up. Most people do it with the ribs up, but the problem is that these ribs often start to burn and get black, which is why people put those funny little hats on their crown roast, which is not my favorite look. So what I do is I flip it over, I roast it with the ribs down. The juices that are dripping from the roast protects them, keeps them from turning black, and you have the added benefit of, see all that nice fat? If you roast it fat side up, the fat gets brown and crispy. Yum! Then just set it down in a roasting pan and put a rack on the bottom that helps steady it. If you don't have a rack, you don't need one. I'm going to start the roast at 450 to get it nice and brown for about 20 minutes, then reduce the heat to 350 and finish it off about an hour and a half. You want the internal temperature to read 145. And here you go. Did this one earlier. So you see how nice and brown and crisp all that fat's gotten? Yum. And then to serve it, you just want to flip it over. I never stuff my crown roasts. Stuffing a crown roast of pork is just like stuffing a turkey. It's going to slow down the cooking, it's going to make it cook unevenly, and then you have to worry about the stuffing coming up to temperature. Before carving, you want to get rid of the butcher's twine. Just cut it off with a knife. And then you just cut between each rib and give each person a nice thick slice.